What is happening, you wonderful people? So, with Thunderbolts releasing last week, it officially closes out Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with Phase 5 closing, I thought it'd be fun to rank all of the Phase 5 films from worst to best. Let's talk about it. So before I actually dive into my full ranking, I'm about to, but I just want to say all six films released in Phase 5, I don't hate. I don't hate, especially Quantumania and the Marvels. I know a lot of people, majority of MCU and majority of Marvel fans as a whole, they hate those films. I personally do not hate those films. Same with Brave New World. I really like Brave New World more than most people. But number 6 is the Marvels, and with the Marvels, I feel like it's one of those things where I like it more than the first one. And I'm even someone who doesn't hate the first Captain Marvel. I don't hate the first Captain Marvel film. I really don't. Is it a perfect film? Absolutely not. Is this film a perfect film? No, it's not. It has some VFX issues. At times it feels very bland and dull. And the villain, I can't even remember her name. The villain or the actress's name. She did the best she could. The villain is very one dimensional, and the villain just feels like she's just there, and she serves no purpose to the overall flow of the narrative. And the narrative as a whole, she doesn't serve any purpose. And it sets up Doomsday with the post credit scene. It sets up things that are coming down the line. So I think one of the things it does a good job with as a whole, and the film as a whole, is it sets up things. It does. And I feel like the chemistry between Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, I think the chemistry between those three, I thought it was good. I thought it was good chemistry dynamic between those three. And with the chemistry dynamic, it kind of took a while to get going. It kind of took a while in the movie for us to see their chemistry. But overall, I enjoyed the film more than most people. Again, it deals with, or it has trouble with its VFX, and it just at times feels a little bland and a little dull. But overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. And coming in at number 5 is actually one that I was really anticipating, and one that I was really hyped for. And I've only seen twice. Saw it in the theaters and saw it on Disney Plus. And the second time I watched it, I was like, it's okay. It's good. I still enjoyed it. Still a rewatchable film. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I am a huge Ant-Man fan, and I was really looking forward to this film mainly because of Jonathan Majors as Kang. And I was like, man, they're really about to adapt Kang. If they are going to adapt Kang, they have to make him fearless, and they have to make him a freaking force of nature. And I feel like for the most part in this film, with what we got from Jonathan Majors as Kang, he did a great job. He did well with what he was given. Um, he was great in the film, but at the same time, I feel like we could have seen more of Kang. We could have seen more of him. And again, it suffers from VFX issues as well. The overuse of green screen, and some characters feel one dimensional, some characters feel two dimensional, some characters feel three dimensional. And I feel like while we get action, some of the action is at times more like violence than action. And I feel like that was cool. And I feel like the story, it felt like it was going to go somewhere. It felt like it was going to go somewhere as well to Kang Dynasty, which again, we didn't get Kang Dynasty. But I just feel like for an Ant-Man film, the Ant-Man films feel like smaller scale Marvel films. And I feel like this one felt like a smaller scale Marvel film, which is what it needed to be because the Quantum Realm, you know, can feel massive at times, but also small. You know what I mean? And it just, I feel like if this film had a bigger scope and scale, would have been a better film, if that makes sense. And if the VFX were better, it would have been better. And if the story, y'all know what I'm trying to say. I feel like it's been so long since I've seen this film, but I just feel like there's things that could have been better in the film. And number 4, Captain America: Brave New World. I am still I saw this film months ago, so it's still kind of fresh in my mind in a way, sort of. So it's gonna be kind of easier to talk about. But with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, the reason I was struggling a little bit, I was struggling because I haven't seen those films in a long time, and those were years ago. But with Captain America: Brave New World, I liked it more than most people. It's one of those Marvel films where I think it's not the worst Marvel film, it's not the best Marvel film. It's just right in the middle. It's like middle of the road Marvel. It's not just okay to good. I felt like it was honestly good to great. I think that Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross was great. I think he was a great Red Hulk. I think the eerie tone and vibe of the film was great. I love the sound design. I love the color grading and the color palette of how the film looks. It reminded me a lot of Winter Soldier. It had that political esqueness of Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier obviously did it better, and Winter Soldier is obviously a better film. But this one, I honestly, for right now, I could see Sam as Captain America, and I think he is a good candidate to take over the Captain America mantle. And I thought Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres was great in this. The girl in this, the one I can't think of her name, but the girl, y'all know what I'm talking about. I thought she was fun. Apparently, she's like a Black Widow. She was from the Red Room, which was interesting. Interesting. And I thought the action was good in this film for the most part. I again thought the sound design was great. Again, thought the eerie tone was great, and it does, I guess. And again, it's still fresh on my mind, but again, that was months ago as well. Um, I want to say maybe it takes a little bit to get going, but I don't remember how I felt about the pacing. But overall, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was again not the best Marvel film, not the worst Marvel film, but it's right in the middle. And number three, this one is fresh on my mind. Thunderbolts. I liked Thunderbolts. I liked it. Again, though, didn't love it as much as I thought I would, though. Would I still rewatch it? Absolutely. It's a fun film. I was not bored. I love the dynamic and the chemistry between all of these characters with Ghost, with John Walker, with Yelena, Red Guardian, Bob, all these characters, and I love the grittiness of it. I love the rawness of it. I love that it's an allegory for depression, for loneliness, for it's an allegory for regret and trauma. And with the in the sense of what they were going for in this film, what they were doing in this film, it feels very real. And it felt very human. And my issue with the film though is that it's very fast paced, especially when it opens, like right from the get go. When the film opens, it's very fast paced, and you don't really have enough time to, while the story is fleshed out, while the characters are fleshed out, and while these characters in this narrative, there's depth to both of them. It does feel rushed at times. It does feel rushed, and while the action's good, with the action we get while it's good, I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more action, but with what they were going for in this film, the sense of what they were doing in this film, I understand that why they didn't put much action. And at times it feels more like a dialogue heavy film, which is not a bad thing. The dialogue is sharp in this film, it works. So overall, I enjoyed Thunderbolts. Not as much as I thought I would, not as much as I wanted to, but still enjoyed it. And number two is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And with the Guardians of the Galaxy films, including the holiday special, I love these films. James Gunn knocked it out of the park with these characters. James Gunn does a really solid job with introducing us to characters that we know nothing about. And when we meet those characters, we absolutely fall in love with those characters, right? Like, I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. That is one of the greatest comic movies ever made. Second one, I like the second one, don't love the second one. Um, Holiday Special's fun. And the third one, first one's better in my opinion, but, and I think the third one's better than the second one, obviously. But this one has so much emotional weight and so much emotional depth, and there's so much character depth and narrative depth and or story depth, and you actually feel the stakes like ramping up. You feel for these characters and you're scared. You feel like you're along for the ride because you're so scared of what's going to happen to these characters. And obviously no one ends up dying in this film, the good guys per se. The good guys don't die, but you heard things before you saw this movie, and you're like, oh, I hear this character's gonna die. I hear Rocket or Drax, they're going to die. Your Nebula's going to die. And you're so scared. And while it doesn't end up happening, you're along for the ride. And it's just so fun. And the humor is so on point, and it's so edgy, and it's so fun. And it's the emotional baggage and the emotional weight of the film is so heavy. It just makes you just sit back in your seat and just almost fully cry, because you love these characters. And hopefully they bring them back to for Doomsday and Secret Wars, and that would be a lot of fun. And this is just an emotional journey, and it's just a great film. And number one is Deadpool Wolverine. Oh man, where do I even start with Deadpool Wolverine? The hype for this film was absolutely real. And if I had to think of some negatives for this film, I think that maybe at times it can feel a little dull, maybe a little bland, lifeless, soulless, whatever you want to call it. And maybe with the X-Men timeline, it can feel a little convoluted at times. So the story can feel a little messy, especially with Logan being added to the mix, and maybe it can feel a little bland at times. But other than that, this movie's an absolute blast. This movie's an absolute blast. You bring in Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, who is hilarious. You bring in Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who brings in the gravitas and sometimes the vulnerability, right? And you have a story that I actually think is really interesting. You have a story where Deadpool, his universe is dying because Logan died in Logan. So he has to go find this new Wolverine to save his universe, but then he comes to find out he can't. So it's just a cat and mouse game in a way, and it's with him in the TVA. And I really like that story overall. And while we get the cameos I feel like really add to the story without taking over the story. Like they're important to the narrative without taking over the narrative. And even though sometimes it can feel like the cameos are taking over the narrative or the story, there's jokes to solidify, hey, we're not taking over the narrative. We're a part of it for a sole purpose and a reason. And I absolutely love that. And Ryan Reynolds knew what he was doing. Sean Levy knew what he was doing. Hugh Jackman, Kevin Feige, they all knew what they were doing. It was good to see Wesley Snipes' Blade in this film again. Jennifer Garner's Elektra, which she kind of felt two-dimensional in a way. She didn't really have much to do. Channing Tatum's Gambit felt two-dimensional, three-dimensional. He was great. Blade was great. Daphne Keane, X-23, she was great. Johnny Storm was great, even though he felt, just like he was just there. You know what I mean? We got to see Hulk for a little bit, which, it was like that. But overall, I feel like Cassandra Nova, she was more of a just lifeless villain in a way. I think Emma Corrin did a great job. Emma Corrin's a great actress. She is. But I feel like her villain was kind of the way she played Cassandra Nova. She was kind of meh. You've seen this villain before. But overall, love Deadpool Wolverine. Thought it was a fun film. The hype was real. And yeah, it was a great experience with people in the movie theater. So that'll wrap up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share in this video. We are at 881 subs. Next big milestone is 900. We're reaching that quickly. And the big one is 1K. Beyond that as well. If you're new as well, I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, trailer reactions, movie live streams, movie news, movie rankings, all that wonderful movie stuff under the movie umbrella. And let's talk about it down below. Which Marvel Phase 5 film is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? Is it The Marvels? Is it Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania? Is it Deadpool Wolverine? Is it Thunderbolts? Let's talk about it down below. Keep talking movies and wonderful people. Cheers.